When you think of animated movies that are done in CGI, but are cartoonish at the same time, what animated films do you think of? Some think Madagascar for starting this trend, for its use of squash and stretch. Others think Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs and Hotel Transylvania for continuing this trend, and more recently, The Mitchells vs. the Machines and Turning Red. However, one animated movie that is often not discussed among these is the 2016 movie that goes by the name of Storks. Now, before I go ahead and talk about the movie itself, allow me to go ahead and give a bit of my history when it comes to this movie. So, I frequently saw advertisements for this movie playing on either TV or YouTube, and while the movie did seem interesting to me, that was during a time when I was extremely busy with school, since that was my first year of high school. And during that point, me and my mom were already discussing movies that we would see in theaters, one of which is the movie Trolls, although we also talked about seeing Storks. However, I was struggling with classes at the time, and we didn't get a chance to watch this movie until December came around. We watched it on DirecTV On Demand, and I liked it, to the point where I put it pretty high on my 2016 animated movies list. But afterwards, I watched this movie a total of 3 or 4 times before I didn't watch it anymore for a very long time, and since I can critique what I like and dislike about animated movies now better than I did back then, I decided to go ahead and rewatch this one to see what I think about this movie now. And I will say that, well, it's not as good as I thought it was years ago, but I do still find this movie to be pretty endearing, to say the very least. So, what is the premise of this movie? This movie goes over the prophecy of storks delivering babies to humans. But as a twist, storks don't deliver to humans anymore, and they've left a baby factory sitting for years with thousands of letters sitting there. That's until one day when a stork named Junior is about to become boss of the factory, and all he has to do is fire an orphan girl named Tulip. Not wanting to make her upset, Junior instead decides to put her in charge of handling letters. Meanwhile, a kid named Nate writes a letter to the stork saying that he wants a baby brother, leading to a journey of Junior and Tulip needing to deliver this baby to them. The best way to sum up what I think of this movie is that it kind of reminds me of another animated film. Remember Cats Don't Dance? Well, that's pretty much how I describe Storks. Both movies could pretty much be considered as cartoonish in their designs and movements, and both films are underrated as both of them didn't do very good at the box office. And both films' strengths have something to do with the characters that are carrying the movie, rather than the rest of the film itself, because just to get the issues with this movie out of the way, much like the Teacher's Pet movie, the writing is definitely the weakest element of the film. Not because of the fact that this movie feels like it should have been a TV movie like that film was intended to be, as this film at least feels like it was intended for the big screen. The biggest issue with the writing instead is that the beginning of the film is very frantic and feels like we're thrown in too quickly, but things start to get better once the film starts its journey, as it starts to settle down and become chill, as the other issue with it is that it's too hyperactive to the point of being overwhelming. And while I do think that the film can get pretty funny, the amount of jokes are far and few between. But the few jokes that we do get are totally worth it. Not to mention, there are also writing issues that the movie doesn't really explain well, that unfortunately, the movie self-deprecating can't let slide. Such as, why did the letter that Nate wrote make a girl rather than a boy? Not that I have an issue with that by all means necessary, but this film leaves its viewers in the dark about how this baby-making machine works. Does it work by the DNA that others put on it? Given that right before the letter gets sent in, a female seagull carries it by her mouth? Not to mention, the baby-making machine also makes a redhead that we see later on that looks exactly like Tulip. Given that Tulip holds the letter with her hand right before the baby gets made. I mean, yeah, later on in the movie, Nate screams at them that he wanted a brother, not a sister, but the movie does still raise major questions about how this machine works. And also, regarding the baby-making machine itself, the fact that it decided to put the emergency off switch behind a bunch of blades and gears raises a lot of questions too. Like, in spite of the fact that the movie does self-deprecate about this as well, they just kind of leave it hanging like we aren't supposed to question it at all, which only leads to the conclusion that it was used as a plot convenience for Junior's arm to become mangled in the process. These talking points may seem as if I'm taking this movie way too seriously, like it's literally a movie that involves talking storks, though the fact that the characters themselves question these things do debunk this particular counterclaim. This movie could also get pretty annoying at parts. There are a lot of times in the film where characters get hit by something out of nowhere, and it expects its viewers to laugh with varying results, to the point where I sort of see why not a lot of people really got into this movie, due to the rapid pacing at the beginning. And there's also this pigeon character that looks like Donald Trump named Pigeon Toady, who is this movie's equivalent of Johnny from Hotel Transylvania and Gary from Sahara, where he tries desperately hard to sound cool and hip throughout the film, that just comes off as extremely desperate. Though, thankfully, he isn't around for most of the film to become that bad, whereas Johnny and Gary are characters that you had to spend over an hour with. Though, unlike Ice Age Collision Course and Thundercats Roar, this movie does eventually find a place where it does calm down and finds a lot of its strengths, making it a little more tolerable to deal with than those two. Which leads me into talking about the things that I like that makes me call this a good movie. And the first thing is this film's humor. Even though this movie is not as funny as something like The Mitchells vs. the Machines, because the humor in this movie is a lot more spread out than that film, Storks' strengths in its humor revolves around its absurdity and slapstick. I just love how these wolves that try to capture this baby are perfectly able to form themselves into vehicles and objects while not being in major pain, and Junior and Tulip finding penguins while being silent is completely impossible, but it's so absurd that it's absolutely hilarious. But similarly to something like Zig and Sharko, what I think makes this movie absolutely endearing is the characters, especially the main characters Junior and Tulip. Now, just like with, say, A Bug's Life or Duck Duck Goose, this movie goes with the liar reveal kind of trope, even though we know in actuality, at least with the former, the main character isn't lying out of any sort of malicious intent. But this film takes a completely different approach, where the one he was lying to doesn't get too mad at him, and I'm actually glad that they did this differently. Junior is honestly the least interesting of the two of them, but he does have a heart of gold as he tries to cheer Tulip up while she's completely upset, while also trying his best to become boss of Corner Store, while Tulip is easily my favorite character of the film. She's apparently voiced by the same voice actress who did Izzy in Total Drama, Katie Crown, but personality-wise, she kind of reminds me of Wander from Wander Over Yonder, with the fact that not only is she happy-go-lucky and also has orange hair as well, but also on some occasions, she likes to play pretend and be another person, kind of like what Wander does in some episodes of his show. Tulip does mess up quite a bit in this movie, as she does end up being the reason as to why Junior's arm gets mangled, but nobody is perfect, and all of the events in this film happen due to miscommunication. Junior wanted Tulip to sort out letters, and Tulip was just doing what Junior wanted her to. And also, this is how you do a female character. You don't just spend the film trying to be progressive, only to have said female character that we're supposed to see as a girl boss get captured. In a year where so many shows and movies tried to do this exact kind of character, but failed miserably in all of their attempts. Tulip is just as useful to the plot as Junior, and both of them do as much for the plot as the other. And something else to note about Storks is that it also has what I think is one of the better Act 2 breakups / liar reveal plot twists in the movie. Because even though, yes, Junior point blank reveals that he was supposed to fire Tulip, and that he also lied to her, unlike, say, the liar reveal / Act 2 breakup in A Bug's Life or The Boss Baby, Tulip is definitely upset, but she doesn't really take it out on Junior, because you could tell that by watching the film, these two are understanding towards each other. Junior wasn't lying out of malicious intent because of the fact that if he fired her while she was upset early on in the film, that would have made her cry even more. And on the other hand, Tulip is not as upset as other characters would probably be in these types of movies. This is even a problem in movies that I like, such as Zootopia or the 2017 MLP movie, but the Act 2 breakup in this movie is actually not that bad in comparison to others. Especially after experiencing the frustrating and predictable ones in Monster Family and Duck Duck Goose, which does show that even in spite of the fighting and bickering that Junior and Tulip do throughout the film, they really do care about each other as best friends. And it goes without saying, but the ending of this movie is absolutely beautiful. Where not only is the villain Hunter given an absolutely hilarious his comeuppance, where a bunch of these ball-shaped birds give a Lion King hyena-style payback to Hunter for the fact that he abused them throughout the film. But the general ending where a bunch of these babies get delivered to those who wrote letters to the Storks, who have asked for these babies years ago, is honestly a tearjerker, with even Tulip getting a satisfying conclusion at the end, where she's reunited with her real family, and it's also implied that Junior is part of her family now. So, my recommendations for this film, if you want something fun to watch and is also wholesome, then this is definitely the movie to watch. It's not as good as something like The Mitchells vs. the Machines or even The Brave Little Toaster and The Teacher's Pet movie, given that those two films don't leave questions about its world building in the dark. I enjoyed this film a lot, and I can guarantee that this is a better Looney Tunes type of movie than the actual Looney Tunes movies that we've gotten. And it's very coincidental that this movie revolves around babies and a baby-making machine, as less than a year after this movie came out, The Boss Baby was released. Oh my goodness, am I gonna have to watch that movie next? Well, shoot. Wish me luck, guys.
Everything